Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to this month's Ask Us Anything, where we answer your questions posted on our social media channels. We had some great questions this month, so thanks for those. Let's get straight to it.
Okay, our first question today comes to us from CC the Kitty, who asks, how often should vocalists warm up their voice? Well, short answer, always. But I get what you mean, more than once a day, how many times, when you've maybe had a break during practice. Okay, so let's look at it. Before every rehearsal or lesson, definitely a little warm-up. You don't have to warm up for ages and ages, 2 or 3 minutes will do it for a singer. Just some sirens, check the main areas that you're working on in that session, and go for it. As long as you've tested your range and sustainability, you're fine. Check your diction as well. You never know when you might, be a little bit fuzzy in terms of your enunciation. But other than that, I'd say warm up before each set. It depends. If you've got a break between 2 45-minute sets and it's only 15 minutes, you should be fine just having a rest. If, as sometimes happens, you've got a longer break between performances, say maybe 20 minutes or more, give yourself a couple of sirens beforehand. If that stretches to a couple of hours, definitely warm up again. Warm up, but also don't forget the importance of cooling down if you've had a particularly strenuous rehearsal. I hope that answers your question. Also, as a side note, don't forget to check out our video on warm-ups here on Instagram.
Hi guys, this next question is from Luke Schofield, and he asks, how long should you go before you change your strings, or how long is it advisable for you to keep your strings on? It's different for everyone, Luke, unfortunately or fortunately. So some people have got a really high alkali in the sweat, so it means that they don't rust strings and they can last up to 3 months really. Or me, I've got really acidic sweat, so I can go through a string in a day, like 4 hours of play. So the rule of thumb normally would be, if your strings start to look black or tarnished and they start feeling a little dead, then change them out. Audibly, you won't really notice them going back off because you just get used to the sound degrading. So if they go black and they start feeling a bit chunky, then it's the time to change them.
Okay, our next question is an A-level style essay question that was brought to us by one of Ollie's students. And the question is, good jazz is an equal balance between improvisation and composition. With reference to Caravan and So What, to what extent do you agree? Well, first of all, what do we think of the question, Ollie?
I think it's a bit of a silly question, to be honest,
okay.
In terms of A-level style to kind of say what is good jazz. Like there's an exact definition for good jazz. I think that kind of misses the point.
If you ask Paul would say no jazz is good jazz.
I guess so.
I think it's subjective if you're looking at it in that way.
Yeah.
But let's try and be constructive with it. Okay. So. Okay then, so let's look at both of the songs individually, okay? Well, together as an individual unit of togetherness, okay? Both songs are now jazz standards.
Yes.
I think every one of us has played So What at some point at a jazz jam.
Yes.
In every band we've ever played.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I've managed to play that song for an hour at a wedding and
Can be done.
no one noticed it was still the same song. Okay, that's the beauty of jazz. They both have defined heads,
Yes.
like most jazz tunes. So there's a melody there that you can get onto. And then the rest of the song is made up of mainly
improvisation.
Improvisation. It could be anything on any instrument.
Yes.
Okay, so I think the task now is to say, do these songs suffer at all by having a composed head? If they didn't have that and they were just all improv, would they be better or worse?
Well, I suppose as we were saying, having a defined head, if you hear that head, you will know what song it is. Where if something was just completely improvised, then it would not really exist as like a song. It wouldn't be a particular. You couldn't say this is called this because it'll sound different every single time. So you need something to reference back to. I would say, yeah, you need that kind of that reference point. So from which then you can then improvise from that. If you that could be classed as like a starting point. Is having that head and then working around that.
Almost like a theme.
Yeah,
theme
absolutely.
to work to.
Yeah, yeah.
So on the flip side of that then, if there was no improv in either of them or any of these songs and they were all scored, would it be worse for that or better?
From my point of view, I love being able to improvise, so that I think that would suffer because you're losing the element of what's going to happen next, like especially when you're playing in a band as well, and you're kind of in that kind of zone of improvising and just being there whilst other people are doing it as well. You never know what someone else is about to do, so you kind of lose the element of freedom and expression if you're just going off kind of like a written head or a score or whatever. You lose that element of it, I would say.
I think in that you would lose the whole point of what defines jazz music apart from pop and classical, is that element of improvisation that you know, something could just go somewhere you wouldn't expect. So maybe the best way to look at this then is the fact that if you sat down and composed something, you would be creating music from nowhere. In essence, is improvisation. If you improvise, you are pretty much composing on the spot. So to try and define that one is different than the other, I think is very difficult, which is what this question tries to put out there. So let's maybe fall down the side of that, yes, these songs have composed elements, they will have come from an improv somewhere before, and it has improvised sections which now, on the actual official recording of those songs, become the actual composed element of that song and recording.
Absolutely.
So composition and improvisation are the exact same thing.
And that is that.
Our next question comes from Sarah Ayres, who says, do you have any tips for singers to sing louder with confidence? Yes. So, when it comes to confidence, it's normally one of two things that's catching people out. First thing is that they have worries about the technique specifically, that they found that singing louder or singing higher is causing them some trouble. So go back to basics. Where are you placing your effort? Is it placed in your core muscles, or is it feeling quite high and tight in the chest? If it's the latter, try and spend some more time working with your core muscles for support. You're not pushing from your chest, you're pulling up and in on the core muscles. The second part of it is general nerves about performing, not liking to be heard, not enjoying hearing yourself back through the monitor. To that I'd say practice. Get used to it, come in and do some practice with some of the materials beforehand. Ask if you can come and do a little vocal warm-up on the day and see how that goes. Find what scares you or what you're not good at yet and practice that. Don't be afraid to address the parts where you're not at your strongest. That's how good people get great, is by finding the parts they're not brilliant at and working on those. Specifically about singing louder, don't forget if you're on a microphone, that's doing the amplification for you. If you feel like you're fighting against other instruments, specifically amplified instruments, your electric guitars, electric bass, keys, then that's a sound issue. That's a sound engineer issue. Make sure that you can hear yourself and that everyone else is at a reasonable level. Remember, yours is the only instrument you can't push beyond a certain volume. You don't have an easy volume switch to crank up. So if you're struggling, maybe other people need to turn down a little bit. Mainly, be close to your microphone, never more than a fist away. Check out our microphone technique video for some extra tips. And make sure that you're monitored. And as an extra, I would say make sure you're wearing hearing protection, because if you're struggling to hear yourself or you're hearing too much of yourself, it might be that you're causing yourself hearing damage or that you're not used to playing with protection in. Practice, practice, practice with hearing protection. All right, hope that helps.
Hope we've managed to answer all of your questions, and if you have any for next month, make sure you drop them in the comment section of the post coming up early in April, and we will see you next time.